All right. And so we don't have anyone in the chat just yet, but we might as well just get going because anyone can come by and watch us after the fact as well. So good morning, everyone. With thanks over to Mickey at Creative Edge Publicity, we have the pleasure of getting to speak with author, coach, and as her website states, perpetual work in progress, Kristina Rienzi. Hi, Kristina. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. So, Kristina, you are the author of Twisted, a collection of thriller stories that was released in November 2015. You also have Winter Road, a new adult thriller released December 2015. Most recently, you have Among Us, a new adult thriller sci-fi that was released 2018. But you also have a couple of pieces that are coming out soon, as well as much, much more. Do you want to share with us a little more about what your upcoming pieces are about?
Sure. So I am dabbling in the nonfiction world as well as the fiction world because I do have my background in coaching and psychology and all that. So it's been a passion of mine. So my next release, actually, I didn't put on my website yet, but I've been talking about it a lot. And especially to anybody who signs up for my email, bi-weekly emails, I talk about these topics. But this is based on my studies in positive psychology and happiness and well-being. And it's called Be Happy Now. And it's going to be a book that gives you, just 5 really quick and easy things you can do to get you out of a funk and into a feeling good. They're backed by research. I do share some personal stories around why I chose these 5 things, because of course there's so many things that can kind of make you feel good, like looking at, puppies if you like puppies, or kittens if you like kittens. Like there's always those kind of tips out there. But these are really backed by research and also things that resonated with me and hopefully my readers. And so that's really important. That is my coming out hopefully by fall to the greater population. And I would like to release it within the next month or so to my newsletter group. So anybody who has signed up for my email list, I would like to offer that to them for free. And they'll be able to download that, and then it'll go out in the fall to everyone else. So that's a big deal. And then the second one that I have, which I've been working on forever, it feels like, as life gets in the way, as all of us know, is called Unleash the Wicked. And it's a new adult thriller also. It's a paranormal. I do write new adult thrillers, but a lot of different genres within that, subgenres, I should say. And this is about a New York City socialite who's forced to move back to her hometown, which is a mysterious beach town. And there she has to face her tragic past, the reason she left in the first place. And it's while she's there, she unleashes an ancient curse. And so she has to kind of fix that, and that's the fun part. And it really was about coming home. And I don't know where where the listeners are from, or your readers, and what you guys have done in life in terms of leaving home and starting anew. But I think where I come from, a lot of people have done that, and then they come back home. It's like, I just find a lot of people I grew up with do end up coming home, and we love where we live. We love where we grew up, and it's such a cool thing. And I wanted to do a little twist on that in my story.
Oh, I love the sound of both of those. The motivation, that positivity in your life. I love that uplifting. I know I could use that every single day in my life.
Everybody can use it.
Just to get that motivation, even to get out of bed, between work and kids and all of that good stuff. And about
totally, I would hear you.
Yes, absolutely. And about the coming home, I agree. I moved away from home a while ago, and I still miss my hometown. And when I go back and visit, it's kind of like, you have that push. You just want to go back there and stay there. So I'm really excited to hear about both of those. I know I'll be putting them on my list to pick up as soon as they're out. Perfect. Now, I personally haven't had the privilege of getting to read any of your work as of yet. Although as I was researching and looking at the things that you have out there, of course, I was adding to that never ending list, and I'm really excited to be able to pick some of that up. Among Us was your most recent release. Can you tell us a little more about that one? It sounds really good.
Yeah, that I don't have to pick a favorite book, but because it's my latest, it's one I focus on more lately. I love that story because it really dives into the what ifs and what could be. And so I have a fascination with the unknown, with paranormal, with just what I don't know in life, which is a lot. I mean, I'm the first to admit, I don't know much. And I'm open to possibilities of anything, So that's what this book was about. It follows an English professor who kind of lives a dual life. She has a blog, an alien blog that she writes at night, and she has this kind of conservative English professor life by day. And she befriends, one of her neighbors is a good friend of hers. It's the mentor character in the book, which I absolutely love. And he's a retired Army general. And he gives her a document, entrusts her with a document that is telling about some government secrets and conspiracies. And once she gets a hold of that document, the whole cat and mouse chase begins with a secret government agency, and she's on the run, and it's all about revealing the truth. And obviously the agency wants to keep the truth hidden. And it just made me think, like, what if this really has happened or is true, and what could be? And then, of course, I took a lot of factual information from history and also from the Freedom of Information Act, the documents that have been released, and I spun them into my own tale of what the truth was, not knowing for sure what's real or not. But yeah, that's what it's really about. And I love it's a very fast-paced book. It's a high-stakes book. It's something that was close to my heart. I love wondering about these things. And I really tried to look at it from all angles. So I really tried to be in the shoes, as authors always do, of my main character who feels like the truth should be out there for everyone. And then I tried to get in the mindset of the agency who felt like the greater good was to not release this information. And then, of course, there's always evil intentions along the line as well. So really, yes. And it takes you from like the past where the retired Army general was, living in when this was happening live, and then the current day where we're dealing with the aftermath. So that was fun. And what made this book really special to me was that right around the time I was pitching it to agents and editors, and in the process of doing that, I got a call from Audible, and through a mutual contact, they wanted to use it as a training tool for their authors. So they have something called ACX University, and they use books to train authors on how to make an audiobook. And so among us, they read the manuscript and liked it, thought it would be a great book to use to train authors on how to choose the perfect narrator. So that was so exciting. I got to go to Audible Studios in Newark, New Jersey, and the Celebrity Studios, and do a whole taping. And there's, the the video is out there on their website and mine and all of those things. But it was really cool and interesting. And I love being part of the education and learning process for others and sharing my story and going through it and being a tool for teaching others how to do it. And quite honestly, I thought the audiobook process was such an awesome experience. And I really love audiobooks. So I was like, as an author, it was an awesome thing.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome. That would be just an absolute huge highlight to have it used as a training process. And as we were talking about, Among Us is one that I have to go and pick up as soon as we were off this live. And as soon as I saw that it was on audiobook, I was super excited because it's easy, cooking, cleaning, you can listen to your audiobook, enjoy, and really consume those books a lot easier as well. We do have some people that have popped into the chat, so I will just pop them up. We've got Brad Proctor that's here. He's saying hello.
Hello.
NW Reader, and we have Jay Maddox and Ross Jeffrey, who is also an author, fantastic author, and he's so supportive of other authors, so it's really exciting to see him always pop into these lives. Well, this is very exciting. Oh, and we've got, one more person here, Spooky Noodles, aka Nick. So if anyone in the chat has any questions, feel free to jump in. And of course, come back if you've missed the beginning of this, and you'll get to learn more about what Kristina's got out there and that sort of thing. Perfect. Okay, so this question is going to be something you've probably heard time and time again. Did you always want to be an author? Was it always your passion?
Yes, always. I remember as a child, someone asked me what I want to be when I grew up, and I said author because I loved reading and writing short stories, little stories as a kid, but really they were always dark, actually. I remember my first story, the real first story I can remember writing, and I have copies of like book reports and things that were just so funny the way I wrote things. It was like I love the dark stuff. The first story I wrote was called The Medallion. I remember it so clearly, and it was about a kid who got a hold of a medallion that was cursed, and like bad things were happening, and they were like bad things kids think happen, like you fall and skin your knee, like things like that. But it was just such a cute little story. And then at the end, I remember the way I ended it was leaving it on the side of the, like he dropped it on the side of the road thinking it went down the vent, like the little, opening in the, and I can't remember the name of what it's called now. Anyway, the little grate in the ground, and somebody found it and picked it up, and it ended with them picking it up, knowing like it's going to go on. And this was in 5th grade. And I remember winning like some kind of a little award. It was like a little class thing, but just very cool. And that I really just wanted to write stories. And then of course, life gets in the way. And I also have a huge passion for psychology. That's like always been a passion of mine. And so I pursued that as a career, going into counseling and master's degree, and then eventually in corporate America as, an executive and in employee relations areas, and also coaching and things like that. So I've always had that as my, like, what I'm meant to do when I'm on this earth is to help in some way through, mental health and wellness. But oddly enough, I did, after doing the author thing, which I absolutely love writing fiction, I realized I'm doing that in my books too. Like everything I'm trying to do in my nonfiction self-help life is a mirror image of my thriller books, because in the books, you think about this as an author, you don't realize how helpful they are. You are going through obstacles. Your characters are triumphing over things, and they're coming out changed on the other side. It's the caterpillar to butterfly story. Everyone. I mean, obviously some stories don't always end positive, and there's all different kinds of fiction, but the fiction I write is, the heart pounding, like changing who you are at the end. Sometimes a surprise ending, and it really does mirror life. And so I found that I was getting that sort of satisfaction in my fiction by writing characters that I wanted to overcome something. And then I felt like I'm overcoming it as I'm writing it, and my readers hopefully are overcoming things, their fears, and embracing the unknown through reading. But of course I wanted to do that in real life too, with, the helping, self-help and things like that. So, but I feel like it's the same. It's the same me. It's the same mission. It's just I'm expressing it creatively in different ways, which I like, because I'm a Gemini, so I need two sides of everything, right? I need the fun, exciting fiction where I can make stuff up, and then I need to deal with the real stuff too.
The reality. Yeah, absolutely. No, I can completely understand that. And I love that. I was actually just having a conversation with my friend this morning, and we were talking about those characters that you forget aren't real, those characters that you can really connect with, and that you just have these connected emotions and you worry about throughout a piece. And it just makes it so much more realistic, and it really pulls you into that world. So that's really exciting. It only makes me more excited to read some of your work here. We've got a couple other people that have popped in here. We've got Chad Lutsky, who again is another author, which is so wonderful to see authors supporting other authors. It just warms my heart so
That's
much.
what it's about.
And
for sure. We're just such a great group.
Yes,
I know you. He's awesome.
I was going to say,
yes.
I don't recognize the name,
One of my
so it must
buddies.
be.
Yes.
Thank you, JD, for coming in. Oh, and we've got Fiber Artsy that's just popped in. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. This is a fantastic chat with Kristina. She's just wonderful. So you are also a former president of the Sisters in Crime New Jersey division. Can you tell us more about that? I find that absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, so Sisters in Crime is a national organization that is all about promoting the work of mystery writers. Okay. And so we have a chapter, Central Jersey chapter, which is local to where I am. I'm in Central New Jersey along the shoreline. And we have, it's really about the education, the professional and personal development of mystery writers. And it's really all genders, when it's not just, we called it Sisters because in the very beginning when it opened, it was actually a division. So there were a group of women who were part of Mystery Writers of America, and they wanted a little spin-off to kind of focus on the women mystery writers who weren't getting the recognition they felt that they deserved, or that getting, highlighted. And this was back in the 80s. And they felt like if they had a smaller group where they could connect and compare and really help each other, that would really help the females in the mystery writing world. And it did, and it's grown, and it's global, and there are men and women in all genders welcome. And it's just really a matter of helping each other grow and develop. And I will tell you, I've belonged to a lot of different organizations. I belong to organizations of genres I didn't write because I really wanted to learn. And I'm a learner. I'm a perpetual work in progress, like I say, but I'm a learner. And I thought with the mystery, it was awesome because we would have speakers come. We had, forensic people. We had, you know, police officers. We'd have all different kinds of speakers come and teach us about crime in general, so that when we wrote our stories, they were authentic and we were able to ask questions and we learned a lot. And it was just very interesting and a very supportive group. And the education that Sisters in Crime as an organization, national organization, offers is unbelievable. And I feel like it's just something that, you know, if you're interested in that kind of writing, joining, even just to do the online virtual stuff is a great, you know, it's a win-win. You're going to learn, you have a community and everybody supports each other. And that's really, you know, what this thing is all about. It's really about, you know, being creative, sharing our stories and supporting each other and being able to have people who get you and understand, because it is a unique life being a writer, for sure.
Absolutely. Your community, your connections, you know, they're like family to you. I know when I was doing my research, I was looking more into that Sisters in Crime, and I thought, what a fantastic, I mean, their whole website, the information, you know, the about. I was almost tempted to myself, but I thought, what am I going to do all the way from here in Canada? And as well, of course, not being a writer myself, but yeah, what a fantastic group. And to be honest, I had never heard of them before, which is just incredible to learn about. And it's so neat to know that you were a former president. That is absolutely a wonderful job. Okay. So you had mentioned that you are a book coach. For us that may not, I mean, first and foremost, wow, because you are one heck of a busy lady. That's for sure. Can you tell us, for us that don't really know too much about what a book coach is, what that title entails?
So yeah, I mean, I call myself more of a writer coach, and if I'm being specific, so just there's a clarity, because being a writer coach means I would coach the writer. So because I'm a certified professional coach, I can coach anyone really on any topic, but my passion is in creative. So when it comes to creatives, I have worked with people on just overcoming obstacles in their like creative life. And especially for writers, like it could be what is holding you back in the story, what's holding you back in your life. Because I will tell you, having been coached by an editor on Among Us and having gone through that process, and I've been coached personally as well, you don't realize how when you're held back in your story, you're held back because of you. There's something in you, because remember, your story's coming from you. It's coming from within you and your ideas and your life experiences and your judgments about yourself and what people will think, and comparing yourself to other authors and things like that, and maybe trying to make it perfect so that it's a good, sells well. And all of those come from within us. And so my goal is to coach the author, to coach the writer, to coach the creative, to overcome the obstacles, to get them where they need to be so they can write the best story or have the best career they want, or just have a life that they're happy in and able to write in. Because sometimes we let life get in the way, and that's actually what's holding us back from writing the story, because we're not giving the time the writing needs, or we're not giving it our whole self, or we're distracted. And so, yeah, I think when you can say, you know, when you say that there's a coach aspect to it, it's I would be coaching the author, I would be coaching the writer, the creative. But yes, it essentially, if your book and your story is what you're having trouble with, that's what I'm here to help with.
Oh, absolutely. I love that as well, because, you know, I often, when you speak with people or authors, you know, sometimes they have a problem even just getting their piece out into the world because they're worried, you know, are people going to love it? Are they going to hate it? You know, there's a big sea, there's an ocean filled of all these fantastic, talented authors. Am I prepared to release my piece out there too? So knowing that there's book coaches out there like you that really motivate and help and support is just, that's also so heartwarming. I think that is absolutely an incredible title to have. We have a couple of questions. I'm going to pop back to the Sisters in Crime because they pertain to that. But JD did say, what would be a couple of common things many writers get wrong that police officers or other professionals would roll their eyes at?
That's a great question. And I have to go back to remember all my facts. But I think there's not one thing that jumps out at me, but I think we tend to take things from like CSI and TV shows, and they're just not real. I'm trying, because I did go to Writers Police Academy, so I'm trying to think if there's something, you know, one, I don't remember the exact details around this, but if people get things like, gruesome topic, but a dead body and what happens when someone passes away to their body, because there are certain things that happen at different hours, like 6 hours after you pass away. You know, there's different things when you find a dead body that, you know, you will find the body, the lividity, where the blood, you know, the blood pooling, you can find, you know, just rigor mortis setting in, and you'll have like timelines that are off from that. So I do have like my notebooks from Writers Police Academy. So from writing something, I look back at like those, I don't know them off the top of my head, but there are certain rules when you find a dead body and what the body's like, if it's stiff or if it's loose, and you know, and what that looks like. Things like that I thought were interesting, because I think it's so easy to just write a dead body and move on. But when you get the details of that accurate, you know, and it's correct, the reader may not know, like, you know, all of the specifics, but it keeps it well-rounded. And you do want to get those things right. I mean, listen, it is fiction, but you don't want to get the actual facts of something incorrect. Also, blood spatter. I took a whole class on blood spatter, and depending on the way that someone is killed in a room and the way the blood spatter lands, it could be inaccurate. You know, you could have blood spatter on a wall that it would never happen if the person was shot from a certain angle. And again, I know this is a gruesome topic, but when you're talking about writing crime accurately, do your research. And actually, the coolest thing I've found, there are Facebook groups. I think I belong in one. It's a detective group. Q&A. There are email lists you can get on where the professionals are there and you can ask questions as a writer. And that's really cool, because if you don't, you know, obviously there's research to be done and things like that. But if you want to just throw a question out there, they're more than willing to help. That was the one thing I found with Sisters in Crime, is the presenters were more than willing to help answer any questions and would give you their business card and say, like, hey, if you have a question, you can call me anytime. They're happy to help. So I would say, you know, if you can't find what you need online and you don't have reach out even to your local police department or your local fire department or EMTs. And if you have a book you're working on and you need some questions, ask them for an interview. They would more than likely happy to help you out, you know.
I think that is just incredible. I find that stuff oddly, I don't know, entertaining. I like to learn about it myself. We're all about the dark, gruesome. We're okay on it. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, no, you know.
That's something we love here. We're all about the dark. So, but I think that's fascinating. I have, you had mentioned psychology before, and that's something that I always wanted to go and do. And I don't know why I never actually went down that trail in life. And I find that fascinating. You know, even the human brain, it's such a powerful tool, but it can just do crazy things to us at any point. You never know what's going to happen, right? So learning about the human mind, the fact that you've learned these things, or that you're a part of that group on Facebook where you can ask those questions and really get your facts straight. Like you said, the reader may not know, but maybe they do, and maybe they'll know that, you know, if you've got this accurate or not. I think that is fascinating. Absolutely mind-blowing. I'm absolutely loving this conversation.
Aww. And I think, you know, readers are a lot smarter than we think. They know a lot more than we do most times. And so you do want to get it right. And like I said, if you're trying to get to the happy medium, like you're not going to go to the extremes and like you want to get every little thing right and it's perfect, and, you know, and everything is, you know, obviously you want to get everything right, but like you don't need to have every little detail of everything all the time. It's like the one detail that stands out that makes a difference is what you want to put in, and that one you want to get right. And and then, you know, so it is important. We watch, I mean, I don't know if you guys watch your reader. I mean, I on the flip side of this, like I have two, you know, I'm a Gemini, I have two people in me. I watch Lifetime and Hallmark and all that fun stuff. But some of the cutesy, like murder mysteries on Hallmark and Lifetime, it's like, oh my gosh, no. But it's suspend your disbelief. The point isn't that. The point is the story, right? And even some other stories, like I have friends in my life who are in different professions and attorneys and cops and things like that. And I'll say like, oh my God, I just watched this show and such happened. They're like, that would never happen in real life. Like the real life is boring. That's exciting. So yeah, they have to dramatize things. You have to, that's why I say like the most important critical fact you get right. And then, you know, you're kind of stretching the truth. Because again, you're suspending your disbelief in fiction. It's not all 100%. And also depending on what kind of fiction you write. If you're writing science fiction or paranormal, you can play with it a little bit and things can be a little different, but they have to be plausible and make sense throughout the book, like the world building part of it. So there's, you know, a lot of aspects, but yeah, it's a lot of work to get a good story to a reader. And it's all we're trying to do as authors. We're trying to get it right. We're trying to do the right thing. We don't always do it because we're human and we make mistakes, and, you know, we learn and we do again in the next book, we do better. You know, each book is better. Is a better version of ourselves.
And not everyone's going to love everything you put out there, but you're still, there's a market for every piece that's out there. So you are going to have, you know, your dedicated, loyal fan base, which is absolutely awesome. I have another question.
And I would say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, sorry, that's okay. I was just going to pop. You could go ahead and we can answer this afterwards.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to say, like, to writers out there, my only advice, I've gotten this advice before, and it is really hard to digest, but you do have to work on this as like an author. Work on not worrying about the outcome, like detached involvement, it's called. Like, you write the story, you're the conduit, get it out. Like, do the best you can, you know, have your editors, have your beta reader, whatever your processes do, right? But you cannot control how it's going to be received. If it's going to be a #1 New York Times bestseller, or it's going to bomb, or it's going to sell 1 million copies, or it's going to sell no copies. You cannot control that. And I think a lot of times we try and we get frustrated and stressed out and we overwork ourselves and burn out. And that's the whole point of this, is to share your creative story with the world. Just be the conduit, you know, the divine download, and pop it out onto the page and do the work and let it go. And only because, and I'm not saying don't promote it or any of that. All I'm saying is the emotional connection with the outcome can be really harmful. And we really need to just know it's going to do what it's going to do. And so many people have told me, you got to let go. Let it go, and just, it's not your business. It's not your control how it's received. Your job is to get it out there. So if we can just get our minds in that place, we will push out more stories, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And we knew we did our best, and we put our heart and soul in it. And that is what it's all about.
Oh, absolutely.
That is what it's about.
Absolutely. And even negative criticisms to a piece that you might release, it still is some type of publicity, because it still brings attention to your work. I don't know how many times I've watched a review that was more of a negative review, and I still thought to myself, well, I think that sounds absolutely fascinating. I'm going to go and pick it up. And then I absolutely loved the story myself. So you never know, both that positive and negative is still going to bring people your way.
Yeah, you don't have control over it, and it's okay. You don't, like, I'm actually the opposite, like, where I'll tell people if they're like, oh, I want to share, I'm like, are you sure it's your kind of story? Like, don't feel like, I have friends and family. If it's not what you read, don't feel obligated. Like, I want you to read something that's going to make you feel good and bring you joy and feel you're going to enjoy it. If you don't read thrillers and just because you like me, you want to, like, that's up to you. But I'm more along the lines like, do what works for you. It's okay. I'm not going to be everyone's favorite author. And that's not the point. The point is to tell a story and hopefully reach a couple people. And if it reaches millions, excellent. If not, that's okay too. Like, I'm writing to share, you know? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, do you.
Perfect. So Brad says, in the horror community, there's Women in Horror Fiction Month, where we celebrate women authors all month. If there's something equivalent to mystery thriller authors.
I should know this, but I don't know. There probably should be. I know, like I said, we have the Sisters in Crime organization, which was started to promote the professional development of women mystery writers. But again, we do accept all members. So yeah, I don't know that, and I should know that. And I apologize, but you know, maybe there will be, or maybe there is. And I think we celebrate each other. I mean, listen, I feel like in the organizations I've been in, we are always promoting everybody, like whatever we can do to help somebody, because everyone will say, like, you know, you'll hear people on one side of the coin say there's competition, on the other side of the coin say there's no competition. And I believe that, okay, there's competition in the sense of, like, there's only 1 New York Times bestseller, you know, every week or whenever they publish it, right? But like, other than that, there is opportunity to be successful for everybody, and plenty of readers and plenty of success. And I have that mindset of abundance. I don't have a scarcity mindset. I have an abundant mindset. There's nothing that isn't possible. The one thing I will say, though, is that your path is your path. It's not the same for everybody. And so just because this one, you know, got an agent, got a big deal, got #1 New York Times bestseller, and you're like, I didn't do that yet, I'm a failure. No, you're not. You're on your path. You might get a movie deal. You might have, you know, 20 million followers that buy your ebooks. Like, everybody's different, and you just have to embrace you and your journey and try not to compare it to others. You know, I compare for the purpose of goals and ambitions and vision, but it's really my journey, and nobody can duplicate that. So you just have to trust in the process of your journey.
Absolutely. You do you. I love that. You are so inspirational and motivation.
No, but it's true. I believe it. No, but you know, this is your life. You do what works for you, and don't worry what anybody else thinks or says. You do you.
Absolutely. Amen. I love that. Thank you so much.
Aw.
Even as we've got Priscilla that's jumped in here, she says, in reference to what Rienzi said about what holds a writer back, I'm stuck in a horror story because she thinks it may be too extreme. So I guess we would have to define what too extreme is, but same as what she's been saying, you do you. If you're prepared to release it, just release it. And we've got
you have
Rob Shepard who's popped
like,
in.
what does
Sorry.
too extreme mean to you? Yeah. No, that's okay.
No, that's okay. Sorry, I'm just catching up on comments here. Some people have popped in that are new to the chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Sorry, I'm just making sure. We've got Calvin Ellis that's popped in here, and he says, "Yeah, we're here for the dark."
I know it's dark. It's dark, but to the extreme, and many of us deal with this. I think like, oh, did I go over the top? One, you have to deal with what your comfort level is. Okay, not the audience. There's going to be an audience for everything. What's your comfort level? What is too extreme for you? If you're not comfortable with it, then you got to take a look at it and make it to your comfort level of releasing it. Just because, like, listen, I've been there where I've done wrote something and gone like, is that okay? And if I'm not going to be comfortable if I let it out there, I'm going to always worry about it and be thinking about it. So you got to do what works for you and what feels good to you. And then maybe like in a year, you'll be comfortable with it, but you're not right now. So you just got to explore that as an author and do what works best for you and what you feel good about. You want to feel good about it.
Oh, absolutely. And if you release something and you're seeing that, the reaction isn't maybe what you were hoping for, then I guess, you've learned for your next piece. I mean, I'm not an author. I don't know if that would, hit the author's title or name in any way, shape, or form, or if it would affect them for next sales on their next piece. But
yeah. You have to do what works for you and what you're comfortable with. And that is a reflection of who you are and the kind of work that you put out in the world. And if you're Stephen King, you can pretty much do anything. But we're not all Stephen King. So I always think about that too. Like I want, to tell my story. Me, this is me. And I'm not, you've all got to do you. I want to tell my story in the most respectful way I can. I want to honor the characters I create. And if I haven't done that, I want to know so I can fix it. That's who I am, because that's important to me. That's what it's not, the creative piece is a piece of what I put out there, but that's not everything. I'm not going to resonate with everybody, but I want to do a good job. And if something upsets me, I'm going to fix it. If it's something that isn't a big deal, I'm going to go, sorry, you didn't like it. So I do take feedback. It's not every single thing, but I do listen and I do hear. And especially if you're hearing the same thing over and over again, you might want to go like, okay, but it's up to you. You're the creator of the universe, and you are the God for your story. And it's up to you what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. And us readers appreciate it. If you could, this might be a hard one, but if you could you pick a favorite piece of yours?
So a favorite piece. So there are two. Well, I'm going to go between the first and my last book. Okay, so my last book, Among Us, I really, really am proud of the work I did on that book. I put a lot more work into that book. I was a better writer, different writer. I grew as a writer. And so Among Us, I would say, is the kind of writer I want to be going forward. I wrote for audio. I did change some things so that it would be good for audio, because when I found out it was going to be audio, I'm like, let me go back and make sure that is this when you're reading it aloud you can see it. You can film it. I always have the post-it. Can you film it? So when I'm going through my story, if it's a sentence you can't film, I rewrite it. And then of course, not everything should be that way. You need to have some telling too, but I do try to, because it's hard. For me, it's hard to show versus tell. It's just my default is tell, and then I go and change it to show, meaning showing it on a screen, showing it on a stage, filming it. And so as much as I can do that. So that I'm most proud of. I did have a coach for that, and the coach helped me through what was holding me back. And the one piece of advice I'll never forget, because I was getting stuck with, should I do this? Should I do that? Is that my only job as a writer is to make decisions. That's my job. It's all about decision making. So I've got to make decisions. Nothing is wrong. It's just a choice. Stick with it and go forward. So that was what I learned from that. And then Choosing Evil, my first novel, was a passion project for me because I never wrote a novel before. I was a short story writer primarily. And I took 7 tries to get it right. And I did hire an editor from LA, like a highly recommended editor who I thought was amazing and pushed me to the brink of literally, I was setting my novel on fire at one point. I was like, I'm just going to burn this. Like, we're done. And she's like, no, do the work. And I'm like, no, it's getting burned and I'm done writing. because it was so much work. And I did the work and she said, good job. And that was like, whoa, good job. Okay, it's ready. And that one got picked up within, you know, the first tweet. I did a Twitter pitch. The first Twitter pitch I did, it got a publishing contract. So that made me feel good. I did a lot of work on it. So that's where I say there, because it was the first and the last, and everything in between was an evolution of me getting here. And of course, I'm sure my next will be, you know, different and forward. But those are why I like those two. I kind of have a special place in my heart for those two.
Well, after that, what an amazing feeling to have, to know that, you know, you were ready to give up, you were ready to burn your book, but then in the end, look what happened and look where you are now. That's amazing. I want to say thank you to JD. He's probably already snuck off, but thank you so much for coming to join us. He's had to leave the chat.
Oh, thank you, JD.
What is your favorite thing about the publishing process from start to finish?
My favorite thing. I actually like the editing process. I know that's crazy, but I am a left brainer. And so when I get edits, I get very excited because I feel like I'm polishing a diamond. Like I'm like getting it so it's so like it just gets nicer and nicer and better and better. And I'm a perpetual, like I said, perpetual work in progress. I love improving. I love developing. I love growing. I love learning. I love fixing what I didn't do right. It makes me feel good. So editing is probably my favorite. And then of course, when I love the cover, when I have my covers done, that's always exciting and motivating. And, and just really having the finished product in my hand is like the ultimate success, whether it sells 0 or 1 million, I don't care. I have the book, I did it, pat myself on the back and celebrate and move on to the next story. It motivates me. So yeah, I try to give, my feelings of success and happiness to the things I can control, because otherwise I'm going to be in a spiral, which, I've gone down. And, I'm never writing again. I mean, I can tell you how many times I've said that. Like, I'm done. One bad review that breaks your heart and you're like, I'm never writing again. And then you have these amazing reviews that you're like, you're blushing over, but I don't, I'm terrible at promotion and sharing. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's great. But like this guy didn't like it. And it's like, I got to let it go, and I'm never writing again comes up with every book, at least, when it's done. And then of course I do, because I have to remember that it's not about that. It's about sharing your story and being creative. And even if it's just being creative, that's what, part of the reason I'm here and I want to do it. That makes me feel good. And it gives me, it makes me a better person for getting that creative stuff out.
Oh, absolutely. I think you're maybe the second or third author I've ever heard that has actually said that they like the editing process the most, which is really neat to hear, because I know a lot of authors are thinking, no, that's like my least favorite part.
And it's hard. It's work for sure,
But multiple drafts. Absolutely. I have so much respect for what authors do, because I mean, this is your baby, every piece that you release, and it truly takes a village to create a book. Between the editing process, you've got to format the book, you've got to create a cover, I mean, and you've wrote the guts of the story to begin with. It's such a long process that by the time it's out, I mean, I don't know, I would be absolutely like excruciating nervous and worried. Sure. And I don't know if I could ever handle the negative comments, but yeah, no, absolutely.
You have to build a wall. It doesn't happen overnight, and some people never do it. And I've decided that, like, with the setting it on fire, the minute it was published, I'm like, using evil. I'm like, oh my God, why did I do this? Why? I was like near tears, upset that it was published, because it was my first book. And I'm like, oh my God, it's out there. People are going to read this. Don't read it. I was so worried. And it is what it is, but I think you do. It's like anything else. You have to figure out what works for you, and it's hard. And especially, like, I was never a public person, and I have a discomfort level with it. I'm more private, but I figured, if the benefit of sharing like positivity and creative, information that can help somebody, like, it's worth feeling a little uncomfortable sometimes. I've never been one for the spotlight. I don't like, all of that, but I do like the value add. That's what I'm after. Like, if I can add value, if I can do something that is going to help somebody in some way, like, that's worth me being a little uncomfortable. It's fine. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And for Among Us, the one that was put into audio. You also had won a Reader's Choice Award. Did you not for that one in 2018?
So it was an editor select pick on Audible. So they highlighted it as an editor select, which was great. And actually part of the process, they ended up sourcing, they had a contest run to find my narrator. And it was pretty cool. And I ended up getting an amazing, all the applicants were great, but I ended up getting an amazing narrator who was like an Emmy Award winning writer, director, and actor who does audiobooks. And his voice on this book, it took my breath away. It was just like, when you know. And I listened to so many auditions and I was like I couldn't breathe. I'm like, this is it. It's him.
This is the one.
I didn't care if it was female or male or whatever. Like, it wasn't like I had a preference. I wanted the right person for and this story, he had it. I don't know. It was like I heard him and I was like, you're it. But that was the thing. It's like, just going through all of that, it brought my story to life. It makes you want to write more stories because it's so exciting. I was like, I couldn't believe, like, I still sit and I'm like, I can't believe I actually wrote a book ever. And I still can't believe, like, I have an audiobook. Like, that's my story. Like, did I write that? It's almost like unbelievable because I'm so grateful and appreciative for whatever gifts I've been given to be able to do this. And I know part of those gifts are about discipline and working hard. It's not always about like, I'm not one of those people that like out of the gate, I don't think anyway, that I'm one of those people that out of the gate just writes a fiction story and it's awesome. I tend to feel much more confident about nonfiction stuff. Like, that's my kind of like real comfort level. Like, I could sit down and write a blog post in like, 15 minutes that I'm totally happy with. Like, that I'm like, this is perfect, done.
This is the one.
That's my comfort level. I'm not comfortable. Fiction for me is I challenge myself with it, and I love story, and I do have a very comfort level with story, but getting it to be a publishable thing is where I struggle, because I'm like a perfectionist in the sense that I want it to be the best it can be, and I never know when to stop, and I have to just let things go. It's almost like I can see what it's supposed to look like, but then it's like not there yet. I can't explain it, but it's more of like a vision thing where I see the author I can be, but I'm not there yet. And I know I have to develop to get there, but I don't know what to do. I'm just like learning along the way.
No, absolutely. And going back to that narrator, a good narrator can really make that whole story come alive through voice as well. Absolutely. I've got a comment here from Rob who said, some people like my work, some people hate it, but if they're reading them, then he's done his job. He's achieved his main part of his ambition.
That's it. That's so true, Rob. Absolutely. Like, it's, somebody's reading it, and that's what it is.
You've done what you set out to do. And then he does have a question. Who has been the biggest inspiration on you and your work?
Wow, that's a great question. So on me as a human, I would have to say my mom. She's passed since 6 years ago. But, she really made me the person I am today. She instilled such awesome values, which you don't really appreciate till you're older. Like, you go through life, it's like, mother and daughter relationship, is interesting. And I have a daughter now, so I'm going through that. They love you so much. She loved me so much. I was so blessed to have a good mom. And I understand not every mother-daughter relationship is positive, and I appreciate that. But mine was. But I did have, I learned a lot from her. Everything that ever happened to me in life, she sat down and had a conversation with me about it. She talked to me about it. I think my writing came from, like, when I got in trouble, my punishment was to write things about it. So it's like, I just became a writer. I became a reader, and I thank her for that when I did something. And most of my doing wrong was a snarky mouth or something sarcastic. I thought I was like, smarter than her. And what I realized is that she was way more evolved than I was ever, and ever will be. And I think my goal, since she's passed, I always say I've become a better person since she passed away, is that be more of who she was, and that to really appreciate. And I know I appreciated it when she was here, and she knew how much I loved her. But I feel like my job in life, my goal, is to aspire to evolve into the human she was. She was an amazing person, and I rarely meet people, and of course it's my mother, so I'm going to say that, but I do meet people who emulate her, and I'm like, you sent them to me, because I need more of that. And I just want to be a good person, because that's who she was. So she did. In terms of writing, an author who I admire and doesn't even write in the same genre as me, but I love her work, is Jodi Picoult. She writes women's fiction. She writes stories that are ethically and morally controversial. She writes from both sides of the coin. I think, first of talking. She's an awesome human being. I've met her in person and was like blown away. She's a love, and she is so great.
That's so sweet.
I'm so inspired by her. But on the other side, when I read her stories, she really does a fantastic, she's not only an amazing writer, but she does a fantastic job of dealing with things that people wouldn't touch with a, you know, 1,000,000-foot pole. And she does it respectfully, and she does it with grace and kindness, and she does her research, and she gets to the humanity of it. And I always feel like I walk away from reading her books with a deeper understanding of all of the sides of a coin. And I feel like I grow as a person. And she was an inspiration to me as a writer, because I thought, like, I don't write the same thing as she does, but I want to make sure I'm this kind of a writer, this respectful writer. And I also love the way she writes and the POVs and things like that. So she's inspired me in so many ways. And I just, I love her and the way she does her work. And it's talent, and it's a human heart. And I think when we approach life with humanity, we do it differently.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. No, I couldn't agree more. I've got something you said kind of leans into another question I have, but I have a couple other people that have popped in here. We've got Matthew, who says, I love this author's view on creativity and sharing your work. I can relate to the perfectionist struggle too. And thank you, Matthew. That's a sweet comment. Thank you. And then we've got the horrific podcast. This is I finally made it to one of these. Thank you so much for coming. I'm assuming that's Colin. There's two halves of that podcast. And then let me see. Sorry, I'm just making sure I haven't missed. Yeah. Oh, and big shout out to all moms. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, everybody. Yeah. And they're, I know, like, I'm one, right? It's like, whoa. I'm kind of like, how the heck did my mother do this? Now, I'm an only child, and I have an only child, but I don't. It is hard. It is hard. I just don't know what I feel like I'm failing every day. It's so hard. And I'm also just like, I love her, and that's got to be enough, because I don't know what the heck I'm doing, and I don't know who knows what they're doing, but I feel like everybody else does. It's one of those things where, because of my mom had such an amazing effect on my life. Like, I know I'm going to drive my kid crazy, and I know I'm going to push her away, and I'm going to do all this, but I also know she knows I love her. But yeah, it's just a learning. It is honestly, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because it is the biggest learning experience of my life. I am learning to be a better person, and who I am. And it's awesome. It's hard work, but it's awesome. And yeah, moms, dads, anyone who takes care of another human, you have my heart and my love, because it takes something. I'm learning what it is. I don't know.
No, absolutely. You're so right. It's almost as if they teach us and they make us grow as a person.
Oh, sure.
Here we think that we're trying to raise them and do right by them.
They're raising
they're the
us.
ones that are raising us. Absolutely.
They are raising us. Yes. And they are here to teach us some lesson, I think, in life. It's hard. It's hard. No. It is hard. And I don't, listen, I know a lot of people that are amazing humans that aren't moms, and they wanted to be, and all of that. My heart goes out to them. And I think even if you have a pet, I mean, I think about my dog that passed away when my daughter was born, who was literally like my child. Oh. And I will forever grieve her. And she was my kid. Like, she was my fur kid. Like, I was her mom. End of story. So I think, like, however you mother or father or caretake, it is such a heart and such a love. And I also think people who are nurses those kind of caretakers, oh my God, how do you do it every day? I would cry every day. I don't know. There's so many good people out there that take care of people, and a caretaker is just a special human. And, we're winging it here as parents. We're just trying to do the best we can, and we are not perfect. And that's why I think now that I'm a mom, like, I was the best parent when I wasn't a parent, like what you should do with your kid in my head. Now that and that was like, listen, that's a downfall of mine. And not that I wanted to be judgmental, but I'm like, if I had a kid, no, you wouldn't. You don't know. You don't know what you would do. And I do a lot of the things I say I would do, but I don't do a lot of things. And I always tell people, listen, I'm just learning. I am not the best mom. I never will be. I am just a human learning, and I'm going to make mistakes, and my kid's not going to be perfect, and I'm okay with that. And if you're not, that's okay too. Like, this is my child and my life, and I'm learning. I'm figuring it out. I think when you go into something with an open learning mindset, people can appreciate that you're not walking around like you know everything and they don't. Nobody does. I did hear, though, I feel like I took a I love Brene Brown, and I took a Brene Brown Dare to Lead training. And one of the things I learned in there was about judgment, and that I found this eye-opening and like kind of like, whoa. It was like when you judge somebody, you're judging yourself. You're judging them for your something for what you're insecure about. So whenever a judging thought comes in my head, I think about, why am I thinking that, and what about me do I have to examine? Because it's never about them, because it's always coming from your perception. So I really work hard on not being judgmental and just saying, like, you do you, I do me, all good, no right or wrong. Like, as long as we're, not breaking any laws or hurting anybody, we're just gonna like figure the life out.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, often if I judge something, maybe they do something different, or their family life or style or how they raise their kids is different, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? And then I sit back and I think, why am I judging them? What is wrong with me?
Yeah, it's an insecurity that you might have. This is a theory, and I don't disagree with it. I think, yeah, you know what? Maybe I think I should be doing it better, and I'm looking at what there, and really there is. And when it comes to parenting, I don't have that now that I'm a parent, because I get it, and I'm like, we went out to eat, and we have not done this in pandemic life, but recently, because things are getting better where I live, and we have one kid, okay, and there's 3 adults. So it was like a family member and my husband and I, and then behind us was 2 parents and 4 kids, and I'm like, and one of them was my daughter's age, which is like under 2. We're like trying to manage. I literally have an army of things for one child. She's fine, but I'm like paranoid. They're chilling. They're just eating their food. They're having their, like, everybody's good. Now we turn around, we're like, what? How? They're like, we have experience. We have 4. But I'm like, I think like I'm sweating over here. Like, I can't eat my food. I'm sweating. I'm near tears. I mean, my kid is fine, but I'm like, does she have a cut? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm like, and I haven't been out of the house because it's pandemic. So I'm totally inexperienced at this. And they're just like, oh, all good. And I'm like, I need to take a page out of your book. But I don't know. And I'm like, praise you, because how the heck do you have 4? I have 1, and I'm like losing it,
Yep. Yeah,
So,
no, absolutely. No, it's crazy. My brother had 4, and they wanted 3, and they were trying to plan them so they were no more than 18 months apart. And on the 3rd, they ended up getting twins. So they've got 4 kids, and they're all so young. I mean, their oldest isn't even 10 yet. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Like, how do you do it? You do it. And I think you do it. And then you're like, when you're out of those stages, you're like, I did it. I'm awesome. And now I have these awesome humans that I love, and it's all cool. It's all good. And that's what I said. I'm gonna have what I'm meant to have, and it's gonna go how it's meant to go, and it's all good. Like, I'm not fighting it. Like, it's just,
no, absolutely.
We just do what you gotta do.
Well, that kind of goes into another question I have. If your family is supportive of your writing career, or if they've read any of your work or anything.
Yeah, they are I am very lucky to have family and friends that are extremely supportive. Many of them have read my work. Again, I go with the caveat, if you don't read what I write, don't do it for me, because it is vulnerable, and there's nothing in there that would upset anyone. Like, everyone will say, oh, is there any characters that are based on people? No, they're fiction. They're based on characteristics of different kinds of people, but there's nobody that like emulates anyone. If anything, it's me more than anything, right? Because I'm the one writing it. So like, I'm going to come out in these characters, but yeah, they're very supportive. And they understand, there was a time prior to having my daughter where I was like writing 24/7 when I wasn't doing other things. And now it's a little different. I am very careful, because I really do want to spend my time with her while she's so young when I can. But yeah, they've always been very supportive, and I'm very grateful for that. And I try not to ask too much. In the beginning, I think I was like clueless and just asking everybody, and everybody did help out with everything they could, but I try to just do my thing. It's like, if you want to be a part of this, great. If not, it's okay too. And, and by the way, I am a huge, like, I try to support everybody I can. I just feel like that's important, but I don't expect it in return. It's like, whatever you can do, you can do.
You can do, absolutely. No, and
we're all busy. We have lives.
Oh, absolutely. And you've got a lot going on between, writing, being a book coach, everything that you've got going on. I mean, I could only imagine that finding that perfect balance for family time and home life is probably challenging at times.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like that comes first. I wasn't always that way, and I always put work first. I was a workaholic that put work first. I worked all the time, whether I was working at a day job and then writing at home, or writing before the day job, or work. number one. Like if somebody wanted to hang out with me, I'm like, I got to get my work done first, then I'll see you. Like responsibilities come first. It took an entire year of going to coaching school that get me out of that mindset, because that was a very devastating mindset to people that I love, but also to me. I wasn't living my life. I was hiding behind the computer screen. This was me, and this is not for everybody. Some people love to be a workaholic and they're happy doing that. It wasn't helpful for me. It was part of my grieving process too. I was like, better to write than sit and think about what I've, lost. And an amazing thing happened when I was done with my coaching school and I had evolved, I feel like, into a different person, which is really more of who I am. I became more of who I am, I should say. I pulled the walls down. I pulled the blocks out. I became, and not ashamed of who I was and like, this is me attitude versus afraid to tell people who I really am and afraid to get judged. And like, I don't care about that. Now this is who I am. Found out I was pregnant like a month after I graduated coaching school. And then it was like, okay, life's changing, and I just have to be kind to myself and not, work is not number one. Work is a means to an end, and it gets done. And writing is, done when I schedule it. And then my free time is really for my family. That's really, really important to me. And I want to be present. I also want my daughter to see somebody who works hard and who chases her dreams and who isn't afraid to take risks and do things that are scary and uncomfortable sometimes. But I also want her to know, like, I'm there for her, and like, she's more important than like, I would give up my writing career for my daughter if I had to. Like, I don't care. Like, I love my writing, but my humans are my main concern in life, so.
Well, absolutely.
It's just
perfect timing then. Perfect timing. You finish your schooling, you kind of get in that mindset, find out that you're expecting. And I'm telling you right now, just from having this conversation with you, you're absolutely doing that for your daughter. Showing her, go after your dreams, have your passions, but, know that your family and your friends are absolutely first. Your health, your family, that's what comes first. And that's what means
the most. You're number one. You're number one. They're next. And I always say you're number one, not to be selfish, but to be like, you can't take care of anybody if you don't take care of yourself. So you take care of you, take care of your health, take care of your mental health. Really, really mental health important. Take care of mental health, take care of physical health, take care of needs and wants, and then move on to the next. Don't put others above you, because then you're going to fall apart. And how the heck can you be there for them? So,
absolutely.
Got to put yourself first.
No, and I do have a couple other questions for you, and we are hitting that hour mark, and I know that you are busy and you've got your daughter and everyone waiting for your husband. They're probably waiting patiently, so I won't keep you too much longer, but I will ask you my last couple of questions. But just so everyone knows in the chat, if you have any other questions you want to get in before we let Kristina go for the day so she can go and enjoy her Saturday with her family, then just please pop them in before we end here. So if you could co-write a piece, and I don't know if that's something you've ever considered, do you have an author in mind that you would enjoy to write a co-piece with?
Yeah, isn't that funny? So I would love to write, I mean, obviously fiction, if I, Jodi Picoult is my favorite author, but we don't write the same thing, so that would be a little difficult.
That'd be hard.
If I could co-write, it would probably be a nonfiction, because I'm working on my nonfiction now, and I feel like my favorite nonfiction author right now is Gabby Bernstein. I love her, and I love everything she's about. She's very spiritual. She's very positive, and I just love all her work. And so maybe that would be who would be like a dream co-author for me, because I feel like my mindset is on the same path as hers, and she's way more advanced in terms of her spirituality. But I feel like with my psychology background and coaching, and I know she's a coach as well, she would be like a dream person to write a book with, because her energy is intoxicating. And I just love how I feel when I read her work and when I follow her. Like, that would be like something I would want to, I'm me, I am not her, I don't want to be her, but like, I would want that kind of effect on readers where I am, where what I give out is received in a way that makes you feel better, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. No, it totally makes sense. If you could have any of your pieces adapted into film, could you pick one? I know when I was reading what Among Us was about, I thought this would be perfect if it was adapted into a film or some type of series.
Yeah. So Among Us, awesome, would be for film, has always been in my mind for that. And I do want to write more. The way it ends, it is an open door for, it's not a cliffhanger, but it's an open door for more. And I want to do that. That's another goal of mine. I always thought Choosing Evil and Breaking Evil would be great, like TV. because it's a paranormal kind of a new adult, and it goes on. And there's also, that is another one which could continue, and it's kind of fun. I think that they would be good for TV, and I do think, yeah, for sure. And then I always think Winter Road, which is another audiobook, would be a cool, like, lifetime thriller. Like, it's just, it's an obsession Christmas story. It's really, I love Christmas, so it was like kind of sick that I wrote a thriller on Christmas. But like, yeah, everyone, my husband's like, you're crazy. Like, you're like, really, like,
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. It went on my list right
and I'm
away.
like, I love Christmas. Why not write a Christmas thriller? And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. But that's my brain. And yeah, so I think that, but yeah, of course, everybody, you know, authors love to see their stuff. But I think Among Us is mainstream enough that it would be well received, and it would also be fun to watch, and also raise questions.
No, absolutely.
Question everything. I always say, question everything. Don't believe what you read. Question it. Find out. And then come up with what you think.
I agree. I was reading the synopsis, and then I was taking a peek at some of the reviews. I was trying to be careful so I didn't get any spoilers, because I know I'm going to want to pick it up. And I thought, yeah, this one sounds like it could definitely be adapted into film or some type of series. So Netflix, if you're watching.
Hi, Netflix, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm here. I'll write more for you.
And Winter Road, I tell you, that was one of the first ones that went on my list, because I also love Christmas, and I'm all down for the darker, you know, side of Christmas.
Yeah.
You've got to have that nice fluffy mix with the dark when it comes to the Christmas season.
Just lock your door. Once you read it, lock your doors on Christmas Day. I'm just saying, on Christmas Eve. Lock those doors, because
I'll be prepared. Well, now, see, you've only made me want to pick that one even more. I'll have to pick that one up and have it ready for Christmas so I can dive into it.
Yeah, it's fun. It does set the stage. It's and I don't know. I had fun writing it. That was a quick. I wrote that onto my. Got the idea as I was driving somewhere, and I'm like, got the picture of her driving down the road, the first scene. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, really, it ruins Christmas. No, it's fun. Yeah. For the thriller authors, it's fun.
That's right. For anyone that's got like that dark side, we like the mix. You know, it's nice to have that fluffy, easy palate cleanser read, but we need that suspense, that thriller, that, you know, something that blood pumping, heart pounding, you know. Yes, absolutely.
And you work out your issues in these books. Like, if I'm angry, this is where when I'm angry, I don't take it out. I'm doing the writing, you know, the writing, it comes out. So if you're having a bad day or something, you need to get that emotion out. Reading a story like this certainly does the trick.
Yes, perfect outlet for sure. I'm sorry, you just popped in here. This is Working Man Reads. Josh, we're just wrapping up. We're just getting ready to let Kristina go on her day. But thank you so much for popping by. If you haven't seen this whole live, you can definitely come back. It will be up on my channel. I will make sure to put all of Kristina's links, everything, everywhere to find her down below in the description. Kristina, I will let you go today. But before we jump, if you don't mind, just letting everyone know again the couple pieces that you have coming out, and so they can make sure to keep their eyes open for those as well.
Yes. So if you go to my website, kristinarienzi.com, you will be able to sign up for my email list, which will give you the first free access to my Be Happy Now book, which is a positive psychology self-help book that'll help you kind of get happy in the moment when you're down. And then the next is Unleash the Wicked, which is a paranormal new adult thriller, which I'm hoping will come out later this year once I get Be Happy Now out. But you'll certainly hear about those in my newsletter. And my newsletter really is a bi-weekly kind of inspirational, motivational email, just different situations we talk about, and I help get you out of your rut, and just know that you're not alone.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kristina, so much. You are so inspirational. You have given me, and I'm not even an author, so much motivation to be me and do my own thing and not worry about what everyone else is doing. So thank you so much for coming on and to chatting with me. For everyone that's in the comments that have come to join us live, thank you so much. Anyone that may be watching this after the fact, thank you for coming by. We love highlighting, or I know you say you don't like being on the spotlight, but Kristina, you are on the spotlight today. It is all about you. So again, thank you so much for coming by, and you're welcome absolutely anytime.
Thank you so much. It was so great to be here. I appreciate everybody who stopped by.
Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your Saturday, everyone.